can I ask members of the public to refrain from interrupting, please? Okay, items to be considered in the absence of the public and the press. Anything that anybody's identified? Stuart, I know that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion that if we're going to discuss public consultation regarding the cemetery, I spoke briefly to Brent, there's lots of questions that need to be asked about this, and I don't believe that this should be discussed in public at this moment in time. I have no problem in the future going out to consultation, but because it's my understanding we haven't made a formal decision, I can't see what we're going to consult on. So I would like that, personally, I would like that in confidential session, so we can have a free discussion.
Okay. Can I bring Ben in, because obviously it's his project.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I think Stuart is missing the point on this. There's a single item which I'm bringing to the council tonight, and that is whether to involve the public now, because we're at a stage where we now need to seek public consultation, or show that we are seeking public consultation, and there is no need at this stage to go into the elements of environmental risk assessments and planning costs, etc. We're seeking clear approval from the public to determine which site that we should go for, and I'm certainly speaking on this later tonight.
Great, thank you. Are we happy to take that item when we get to it, if we decide at the time that it needs to go into confidential session, to vote on it at the time? Any others?
Yeah.
Stuart?
Again, item number 10, I know that we just talked briefly about its reduction for the steam round. I believe that's a contractual issue. And the policy around this table is when we're dealing with contractual issues, they're discussed in confidential session. What we decide to charge, be it rightly or wrongly, between us and a contractor should be confidential. It shouldn't be open for open public consultation.
Everybody knows what you're charging. It's in public domain. I'll ask members of the public, please don't interrupt the meeting. Consider that to be the warning not to interrupt.
But that's what I say. I believe because it is contractual, I think any discussions should take place in confidential session. I don't think it's right that we should be discussing contractual matters with outside contractors in public session. That's my opinion.
That's one identity, but I get the feeling we start wanting to get to it. Members, are you happy? And members, are you happy to vote on that one as we get to anybody else wants to speak? Not personally, don't think that any of those items need to go into confidential session.
Well, I'll propose when we get to it. That's okay, for council to decide.
Parish minutes from Monday, the 21st of January. Anything on those one?
It's 6.19. It gives a figure of how much the precinct's grown by, which won't mean a great deal to members of the public. Can we put after the figure 344,886, comma, which is 25% increase, just so it's quite clear why it's grown by. Just so the public knows, so it's sort of been open lines with the public.
The minutes about it, the decision. That's the decision you made. That the absolute, that approving the budget and the absolute level of research.
So that's what's required to be.
Yeah, that's right. It's the only suggestion.
I mean, members of the public will
6.19.
The thing to note there is the percent of the tax base. So if the tax base increases or decreases, that absolute percentage will vary.
Excuse me, very much.
Victor?
Yeah, can I just ask which one one you're referring to, Jonathan?
12.9.
As I said initially,
Oh, sorry, page 4. Oh, there's two 6.19s. That's the problem, yeah, two 6.19s. Okay.
Okay, and then
so 6.19B.
You were there, weren't you? That's right. But no, 5.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Proposing and seconding, proposing and seconding, all those in favour? Parish Council minutes, 7, governance and finance matters. If possible, can we make these 3 items, they each have the potential to last for a very, very long time.
Straightforward.
If we can try and make discussion voting on their own as fast as possible. Councillor Ireland.
It should be quite a quick one, this. But there is one amendment to make it, because of a typo. It is to hold a vote of confidence in the chairman of the Parish Council, not a vote of no confidence. The reason I put this on was a few meetings ago there were several heavy criticisms of the capabilities of the chairman. And then I thought just for the councillors of their own say into a vote to either back the chairman or not back the chairman, and basically that is it. It's a quick vote of confidence in the chairman.
So that's your proposal?
Yeah.
I want to come in then, Stuart, and then Brian. Just to set it out, I've been the chair for 3 years. Thanks for your comments. The first year I definitely wanted to be chair and enjoyed it. The second year I was elected in my absence. I don't think anybody else wanted to do it. The third year I wouldn't say it was necessarily under duress, but I think I was perhaps slightly less enthusiastic chair. So I'm sure members have already seen the emails and things, but I've no intention of standing as chairman in the next year. I think a 3-year sentence is long enough, but it's time served. So I intend to serve out the remaining term, and then I won't be standing again. We've got 5 and we've got Stuart.
No, I'm just interested as to why it's spelled out as it is. Because somebody's obviously put a note in there somehow. I'm quite sort of confused as to why it reads like this, because it's totally different to what Council Ireland's.
I mean, at the meeting discussed about no confidence. I mean, the actual intent of Jonathan's motion is about expressing confidence. I don't think that's, whether you word it no confidence or confidence, the intent is still the same in the vote. If you strike out the word no, it's perhaps truer to the intent.
Okay, that's the proposal. Stuart?
Right, I'm going to be very quick, but I'm going to tell you the truth of why this is on the agenda. Not the last meeting, the meeting before, when we had a discussion about questions, written questions from the public. You'll recall those that were here. I made a statement that I thought we had a problem with the chair rather than the public. That's here nor there. Drew was fully aware of my views. While shortly after that I made that statement, Councillor Ireland, who was sat here and I was sat there, says, why don't you put a vote of no confidence in the chairman? I think he was trying to cause mischief. I said I had thought about it and had considered it, but I didn't believe at this moment in time that councillors would put a vote of no confidence. Therefore, I hadn't done it and hadn't made any further move. I then saw Councillor Ireland pause for a second, turn to the chairman, and he says, I'll tell you what, why don't we have a vote of no confidence? Which is a bit funny because he should have said confidence. My personal belief is he's put this on because he was going to try and get one over on me. It didn't work, it backfired, and just by what he's just said now, a vote of no confidence, it shows he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's now having to backpedal. If you're going to get one over on me, Councillor Ireland, you're going to have to get up earlier.
Can we... Does anyone else need to speak on this, or can we put it to the vote? Ben? Okay, he just got in very slightly before you, but you move it. It needs seconding, actually, the original...
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Thank you.
Can we just hear Ben and then...
Yeah, whatever the reasoning behind this, I mean, is you know, it's immaterial really. I think at this moment in time, in this parish council, and considering the current chair has a minimum period left to serve, I think that Councillor Ireland should reflect upon his proposal and perhaps withdraw it.
Okay, so we have a proposal. We've got a proposal on the table. Can you just clarify the wording for us then that you've got there, Chris? So vote of confidence. Yes is confident. No is not.
Whether you have confidence.
Can I just say, Chair?
Yep.
The agenda item says to hold a vote of no confidence. Not confidence. It says no confidence. That's the proposal.
The proposal that was put on the table was a vote. I'd like to agree with Diane to move to the vote if we can. The proposal that's on the table, that Jonathan has tabled verbally, is a vote of confidence in the chair. So if you're in favour, then you have confidence in the chair. If you're against, then you don't have confidence in the chair. I wouldn't like to go through another 5 minutes of rambling about the inclusion of the word no or not. Does anyone have any other salient points that they want to raise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a point I'd like to make, and the point is I find it quite strange that we have a Labour Party councillor making a vote of no confidence against a Lib Dem chairman. I think it's absolutely atrocious.
Okay. Anything else? You can make your closing statement.
Yeah. Obviously, Councillor Thorne's having me listen because I've amended the item to a vote of confidence in the chairman, which I'm limited to do under standing orders. And I don't know why you have to bring politics into parish council, because I never do, and Drew doesn't, and any of the members who are members of the political parties don't bring it into parish council. So I really don't know why the parish council Thornton is dragging politics into it. And that's my final,
Ladies and gents, we've had 2 requests to move to the vote. I don't think this needs any more discussion. Thank you. Okay. And a recorded vote as well, requested by Clive. All those in favour? Okay, that's...
Favouring confidence in the chairman.
I'm abstaining.
So that's got all those in favour.
Against?
Abstaining.
Against. Abstains. You abstaining?
I'm abstaining. I think it's an unnecessary vote.
Okay, thank you very much. The Councillors Jepson and Thorne. I don't know who wants to take this one. Colin or Clive?
Oh, mate, you go first.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right, thank you, Chair. As I said, Colin and I have discussed this and we put it on. I'm concerned that we've got some councillors that don't attend certain meetings, have not done on a regular basis. And we had the issue of, when the budget was decided, some councillors... Excuse me.
Don't tap
Sorry,
it, Clive.
don't tap it. Some councillors voted against it without actually taking part in the budget discussions, or I'm convinced that they weren't quite sure why the precept had gone up to such an extent. Because, as I say, some councillors don't attend full council meetings, some councillors never attend any other committee meetings, and in my view they're actually abrogating their decision-making responsibility. It's left to consistently 6 or 7 councillors that turn up, take all the votes, take all the flack, and some are really not participating. In fact, I wonder why some are actually on the council. I'm not going to name any names, they know they are, but some people, as I say, have never turned up to any committee meetings. We turn up, I don't know how many committee meetings we have now, 5, 6, week in, week out, month in, week out, month in, month out. It's the same ones, and quite frankly, I'm getting to sort of point where I'm fed up. I think people, if they're going to be on the council, should either join in or not bother and stand down. And if people are quoting working reasons every time, I'll give the example of Councillor Darren Smith, who was in the same position last year and he actually stood down because he couldn't get for working reasons. And I think some councillors should have a look at themselves and see what they're actually contributing to this parish council. In some cases, not a lot.
Okay, Stuart, me, anyone else?
Right,
Colin?
I'll just go quickly. I mean, I agree with almost everything Clive said there. End of the day, we sit round this table to represent the public. We're here to make decisions, hopefully on behalf of the right decisions on behalf of the public. You can't make decisions and you can't represent taxpayers if you're not sat round this table. I've been moaning for months and months, as Clive just said, the same councillors who were turning up, rain and sunshine, middle of winter or summer, and others are just riding on the backs of them councillors. If you can't commit to coming to this council at every meeting, and that we're not got a full council tonight, well then maybe you should consider what your position is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, you should resign, but if you can't commit, what's the point of being in or being a councillor? An example is we had an allotments meeting about a month or so ago. We cancelled it because not enough people turned up. Again, it was the same people who tried to turn up. We've all got reasons why we can't turn up, but it just seems like some are doing more work than others. If you can't attend meetings, maybe it's time you did consider what you're here for.
Okay, so me and then Colin. I think I would probably say that the council has a bit of a history of unproductive and sometimes disrupted meetings. So I'm not surprised that some councillors don't turn up. There are those of us that do turn up. The council has quite a dysfunctional committee membership system, which the clerk has pointed out to us is quite unusual in that all councillors minus the most recently elected councillor are members of all committees. Most parish councils would divide up the work between them. Parish councillors are unpaid. I mean, I agree that people should attend committee meetings, but they do need to be productive, and I say that as somebody that attends them whenever I'm in the country. I wouldn't necessarily invite resignations, being mindful of the cost of by-elections when we do so, and that the council's only really got a year left to run. Colin.
Yeah, thank you. I don't really want to repeat what Councillor Jeffson says, but it's quite true. And on at least 3 occasions in the last 6 months, if I hadn't have turned up, for example, at a finance meeting, it would not have been quorate. Now, this is not good enough. All councillors, when they assume the office of councillor, take on the responsibility of attending as many meetings as possible. Now, I accept some people are working. We have one councillor who unfortunately has got a debilitating illness, but that's not his fault. But he at least makes the effort. And as Clive said, it's so maddening to sit here week after week after week after week and see the same 5 or 6 faces. It's just not good enough. If you don't turn up, you can't represent your electors. You cannot do the job. And if you're not up to it, then make way.
Okay. Any other points? I'm not sure we don't have a proposal yet under this one. Clive, are you going to make a proposal?
Yeah, well, if I can just add to it, I find your comment about people don't turn because of the nature of the parish council meetings. Well, that's as far as I'm concerned irrelevant. People sign up to or put their names forward to join the parish council. If they're not aware of what sometimes happens down here, then you shouldn't be on. You should come down and have a look. Some people have committed to join the parish council, knowing full well that they're going to be working, not going to turn up at meetings. Well, to me, there is no point. You're aware of the commitment you're supposed to make. It's well known. There's documents on it. My view is, don't stand for election if you know full well that you're not going to be able to come to parish council meetings. Some people claim they've been to them. I've not seen them here before, and they should be aware of what the parish council is like. But to say we have dysfunctional meetings, we all know that, but we all try our best. We suffer from having an inefficient clerk before Chris joined us. We're now hopefully getting on an even keel. We don't have the sort of melees that we used to have before. I would hope things have settled down and hopefully we make progress. But unfortunately, over the last 3 years, and one of the reasons I've voted against you is we've got nowhere in the last 3 years. For various reasons, we've not made progress in funding bids, anything like that. But if councillors are going to spend every week, well, I'm working, why join the parish council if you know you're going to be working on a Wednesday or a Monday night? I'm going to quote Councillor Smith here. He's never turned up to one committee meeting in 13 months. He's turned up to parish council meetings but an hour late, and I think that's his track record during the year. Well, quite frankly, I'm fed up with that. You should know, if you're going to, as I said, if you stand, make that commitment. But if you're not going to turn up, then please reconsider and let somebody else that's interested in taking it, such as Marie.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gents. Councillor Smith, do you want to respond to that, or?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Kevin Pearson, yeah. Why not? Anybody?
Yeah.
Can we not have members of the public interrupt, please? And can I have a proposal? Or we'll move next business. Personal explanation.
No, I've changed my mind. I'm not responding.
Thank you. Stuart.
Right, just a quick one. Councillor Smith will take all the blame. Yeah, there is another councillor, Councillor Ireland, who again has missed yet another full council meeting. I don't think he was into one in last year. And he hasn't even put an apology in tonight. At least the other two have put apologies in. So you are summoned to these meetings. And to be quite honest, if you're not turning up for these meetings, or at least Councillor Smith turns up for the council meetings, if you're summoned to these meetings and you can't be bothered putting your apologies in, well then maybe that person should consider the position. Why? What is the problem with coming to a council meeting? Maybe it needs an explanation.
Diane.
I think we've had sufficient discussion. Can we move on to the next item?
Yeah. Are we happy to second that? Are you going to comment?
Just as a
Yeah.
All I'm saying, it's unfair to name particular councillors because you don't know their actual situation on the day.
It's not unfair.
This, ladies and gents, this isn't a productive discussion. Thanks, Stephen. See you later.
I normally hear from him during the day. I don't know what's happened. So before we start criticising, let's find out a reason.
We're not saying you're going to blame us. Don't put words in people's mouths.
You can have all the comments in the chair.
Yeah, I think we need to move next business.
And you only have to attend one meeting of the council for 6 hours to be legally
Quite right.
Defending his dad again.
Yep. I think Clive has made a very good political point there. I'd like to move next business. Yeah, potentially. Okay. D.
Yeah. It was a discussion more than anything else, and decide.
Nobody made a proposal.
No.
Okay.
The minutes are the discussion was
D.
C.
Oh, C. C. Hoping that it's D. D. Indeed, it is.
Literally. Yeah. I wasn't aware Councillor Bowers wasn't going to be here tonight, so I'm going to have to. I think Councillor Torn has views on this as well because he's contacted me. I have to say, unfortunately, I'm going to have to name names again, but this is down to Councillor Ireland, Jonathan Ireland, about the blog that he's sort of identified as a personal interest. Extremely disappointed to find out what went on straight after the meeting in January when the precept was approved. Because what he actually did was, and I think Councillor Johnson asked this, what he did was generate a discussion that was one-sided about the precept. Now, I didn't attend the budget meetings because I was away on holiday. A lot of other people didn't attend the budget meetings, but still voted to decide on whether they were going to support or approve it. I think everybody that voted to approve it was at that budget meeting, so I have no problem with that. But to simply go on a Facebook site and create a storm by saying we put it up by 25%, and then if you read some of the comments that were made afterwards, nothing was done to actually rebut some of the things that were made on there. And then Councillor Ireland proceeded to say it was done to balance the books, that it was increased, but well, that wasn't the case. If he and other councillors had bothered to voted on the budget, had bothered to read their papers, they would have seen why it went up by 25%. And I follow all that went off of the meeting. I know the reasons why it went up. I abstained because I always get flacky files because I live in Islington. I vote on an answer to precept increase. It's bad news from March on to. So I abstained and I wasn't at the budget meeting. But I think what happens is you put 25% up and then to say it's not for any particular project, just to balance the books. To say that's untrue. And you break it down, Band D, 46 pence a week interest, Band A, 31 pence a week interest. Now, somebody responded to that saying, so whoever spent by so much that the precept has to go up by 25%. Because if my school overspent by 25%, they'll be making staff redundant. So it may be facetious, but which parish councillor is redundant to requirements? I suspect the voting public reminded of this come the next elections. We could see where the 25% was going, we would probably be happy. But if it's just to cover general running costs, then it just sounds like poor judgment, or worse, deliberate mismanagement. Well, a decision was made to raise it by 25% to fund certain projects that the council needs to do, and to top of the reserves, which legally I think we were below the level that we should have. So I would like to see Councillor Ryan going back on there and actually rebutting some of these comments. It appears that some people think parish councillors get paid. To save money, we just lock the parish council off the parish council, and there we have this saved money. Well, it don't work like that. These people turn for free, meeting week in, week out, give the time, all right, so it might be long-winded and we don't get anywhere, but at least people are here and showing an interest in the village. And I'm really upset by some of the comments that were made. As I said, the fact that that was blasted out on Facebook, on the sort of social media, and I think it was really inept the way it was handled. So, do you want to join?
Can I have a proposal, please, Clive? Or anyone?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what course of action we can take. We've got a Anston Council. Miles might remember this.
Yeah, just give it to Chris.
Has that ever? Did we actually ever adopt that?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook site.
So why have we got parish councils going and putting incorrect information? We've got our own site where that guy there that went on Jonathan's social media saying if we can justify it, we haven't got a problem with it. Well, we should be out there justifying it to people. I know Drew's opposition to increasing precept by massive amounts, but even you were in support of that because you knew what it would take to get us on to carrying out these projects. And you can't do it by increasing the precept 5%. It's not going to work. And we've got a breath of reality from the new clerk explaining to us exactly where we stood and what we've got to do and decisions we've got to make. None of us particularly like it, but that's the reality. We are where we are, and that's why we voted for it.
Okay, ladies and gents, we've got Ben and Miles, and can we wrap this up as quickly as possible?
Thank you, Chairman.
Members of the public, please, this isn't your meeting. Marie, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Social media, I'm not a great advocate of it. I'm probably a bit long in the tooth now to get hold of it totally, but I think we're finding out now that the use of it can be corrosive, and I think that we need to perhaps listen to the Parliamentary Select Committee that reported yesterday on social media and how it should be used, and I suspect there's going to be some new guidance in public life coming along probably pretty quickly from DCLG. We don't need to go on it. We don't need it. And certainly to comment about things at detriment to the body to which you belong, I think is short-sighted.
That's from Parish Council Watch. They make a good effort at slaughtering
Come on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to suspend the meeting at this point.
We've tried this, we're back to square one again.
Meeting suspended.
Right. Meeting suspended, St. Peter's. They've put it on the wall, all the way through, they've been doing it deliberately, Mr. Pearson and Mr. Campbell. You've given enough more warnings, so when we come back after the suspension...
Stuart, and you've got to stop writing on Anston Parish Council Watch about Mr. Pearson. Don't get mum on when people start writing things about you.
See what I mean? I'm being targeted again. I'm being personally targeted again.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're personally targeting Mr. Pearson.
Gentlemen, please.
Don't talk to me, please.
That's what you're doing.
Don't talk to me, please. Your comments are unwelcome. Right. All night they've been chipping in. All night they've been doing it deliberately. You've warned them once. If you're just going to carry on warning them, it's like a dog wagging its tail with no bite. You've either got to stand up and take the decisions or not. This is why we've even had a no confidence vote tonight. Not from me, but from him, and he's causing half the problems. And he stood there now as Mr. Cabinet, smiling and laughing. So what he does is deliver. But we all know that. Unless we stand up, nothing's going to happen.
Turn your back on him and ignore him.
Well, you should. But the thing is every single meeting, they're interrupting and nothing's happening. Every single meeting.
Well, the meeting's suspended, so you can say whatever you like.
Well, the reason it's suspended again is because of their
Can I
conduct.
just say something? When you weren't present, when I chaired the last meeting, there was no problem.
So you say it's my fault?
No, I'm not saying it's your fault. All I'm saying is, if you react, then that is the problem. Sorry, I'm not criticising you.
No, I'm not saying you're allowed to say whatever you want.
I'm not criticising you, Stuart. But whilst ever you react to the comments, they will continue to do it. If you did not react, they have got nothing to react against.
Let me tell you why every meeting I stand up. Every single meeting, Mr. Kavanagh and Mr. Pearson are goading the chairman.
I know they are.
Every single meeting, and I sit back here deliberately, and every single meeting, the chairman makes idle threats that don't get carried through. It's happened all tonight, but as soon as I stand up, the pattern repeats itself. Mr. Cavanagh doesn't go, the chairman doesn't do nothing, and it goes on. It's been going on for 2 years. Yeah, but the point I'm making is, but I am not going to sit here while every other councillor does and not say nothing.
But if you didn't say anything, it would stop. That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you why.
Stop, and they wouldn't be targeting you, they'd find somebody else.
I'll tell you why it wouldn't stop. Because I've had the same.
Are we happy to resume the meeting?
I've had the same conversation with Philip Matthews.
Chairman, I think it's very instructive that somebody has left to go and talk to them
I mean,
again.
you've got Councillor Ireland out there talking to him, what he does every time.
Are we happy to resume the meeting, ladies and
Whoever
gents?
stands up and says something, that's the problem.
Yep.
Carry on.
I agree.
My turn.
Fire away, Miles.
I think from gathering what you've just said, Clive, what we need to do is probably put more information on our page, because it is just like a notice board, that Facebook page. So I'd be willing to do it myself if you like. So it's how we do it. So do we upload the approved minutes onto there so people can see what decisions we've made, to make it a bit more accessible, like we do on the website at the moment. So it's just another outlet which people can get into them. Again, these comments weren't made on the parish council website. They were, again, I can make comments on my own personal page, so all my friends, all 1,500 of them, can find my page and see my comments and so on. Yeah, keep getting in there. I make personal comments. Leave me alone. And they can make comments on my own page. However, the parish council website at the moment has about 350. They call them friends or likes. So 350 people from the parish see what's uploaded to it, and things are uploaded to it. But again, we could upload more, like you suggested almost, Clive, there, by putting more information to try and counteract.
Yeah, Miles, I think we're wandering off topic now.
Well, what I'd like to propose is that we put more information on there, including the approved minutes of the parish council website.
That's nothing to, you can't.
Yeah, it's not that. This item's about some specific Facebook comment.
Okay.
Feel free to stick that on the next agenda, though. I think that would be very useful. Me and then Paul. I was just going to say that although I disagree with the comments that Councillor Ireland's put on Facebook, I was sent them by a colleague. I didn't actually have a look at them myself. I suspect that no law has been broken, and that if members have any, it may well be, but the council doesn't have any power to do anything about it. So if individual members are not happy, then right to the Standards Committee, right to Rotherham. Paul first and then Clive.
Sorry, Paul. I forgot you were right.
It's up to the individual that's put the comments on there, but to give them credence, I would have expected them to have been backed up with something, rather than just a comment that literally doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It creates an illusion of something that isn't true. And the figures, had they been put there, I think would have put some credence and backed it up, rather than now. I think as councillors we should have a responsibility if we are going to put something on an open forum like that. I mean, I'm a great disbeliever in Facebook and every one of these sites for this reason, because it creates huge problems, because there are two perceptions on what has been put there. That's it. I just don't think that as a responsible councillor you should put anything on there unless you're putting the facts that back it up.
Okay, do you want to make a proposal? Can we just...
Making 25% increase is a fact.
That's a fact.
We can't argue about it. It's a fact.
That's a fact.
So to inform the public of the fact that the precept is going to 25% is more my duty. To let them know what's happening.
Do you want him there at the meetings?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please let him speak.
I think you
need
need to stop one thing and start telling the truth.
Ladies and gents, we gave Councillor Smith the opportunity to respond to a personal criticism. I think we should allow Councillor Ireland the same courtesy.
Can I just say something here, Jeff?
No, unfortunately not, Councillor Ireland.
It's highly relevant to actually how this meeting's being conducted, which I've actually kept my mouth shut for the last 4. I think it's highly relevant before anybody else continues, before there's actually any further rude interjections. Actually, I think it's very relevant.
Okay, the procedure is to stand on a point of order. Okay. Councillor Ireland, and then I'd like to move next business.
To quickly continue, 25% fact. I think the fact on the site, I'm not in control. People say it's good to have a healthy discussion with members of the public. Surely other councillors saw and taken the time to print things out. They can comment on it. So why should the whole responsibility be for me? So there is guilty by not doing anything. There's allegedly I am.
So if I don't go on a website, I'm guilty.
Really, anybody can comment on the Facebook page.
Can I comment on your Facebook page?
Gentlemen, please allow him a personal explanation. Please give him the courtesy.
Why should we not
take the time to print things out?
Gentlemen, you've just attacked a councillor personally, regardless of whether you believe or not. He needs to respond.
And if they've taken time to print these out, surely they have time to actually respond to things anyway, which I agree with that flow on their part. And just to let you know, the actual background was a big red background, so it was political. If everyone wants to put that into the frame, Corbyn red was my choice. And that's what I want to say. And that's really the jest that I take this with, because I think it's quite ridiculous and a waste of time.
Okay, thank you. I would like to propose that we move next business. Does that have a seconder?
Councillor Prendergast is going to speak.
Can I just... sorry, Lynn, can I get back to
Look,
I don't think I would recall...
Gentlemen, please. You're wasting time, and you're going to interrupt again. Colin wanted to speak. I've just moved next business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But before you called me, Councillor Prendergast indicated he wanted to speak, and I think we should listen to what he's got to say.
Far away if you wish. You are just wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, because there'll be no resolution.
Well, no, his opinion is as valid as anyone else's.
Far away.
It's a small point that I was to raise that this meeting has actually just been suspended due to the fact that people were speaking out of turn. And all I was asking is if the meeting's going to continue, can people please speak in turn? Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less.
Quite right.
Thank you.
It did not happen and does not happen. And I think the reason that the vote of confidence came, it wasn't a personal vendetta against you two, it's the fact that every meeting that we attend, people speak out of line, people are rude. There's a clear history going on in this council, and I think it should be brought to the head of this council so that there is more productive meetings going forward.
Yeah. Can I remind members that, I know you're quite new, Glenn, but nobody's doing it. It's not all on the chair. Nobody here is standing on a point of order, which you should do. You should stand on a point of order and you should support the chair, and you don't. You just allow collectively, and I think everyone shoulders some responsibility for this. You just collectively allow these discussions to continue.
Our second proposal.
Can I just...
Next
Can I
business.
just make one final point?
I am.
Well,
No.
I'm going to say it because Councillor Ireland put the nip in the bud.
Is someone going to support me in silencing Councillor Jepson?
Not for any
Is someone going to stand on a point of order?
That would have killed the conversation.
Thank you, Diane.
I'm standing on a point of order. We've discussed it. Can we go on to the planning matters of number 8, please?
Thank you. All those in favour, it's proposed, it's seconded, move next business. All those in favour? Can you show your hand so that we can tell there's a majority? Thank you. Planning and Highways matters. So we've got RB 2019-0159, Agricultural Building, Lindrick Common, Lindrick. John?
We don't make any comments on that.
Seconded.
Agricultural buildings are a different issue altogether. Planning applications. It's an agricultural land, it's not really anything to do.
Anything else from anyone? No? Brilliant. Okay. All those in favour? Thank you.
Have we had any look at today's list? If you've not sent it out.
Spotlight's on you.
I've done certainly before the council, but I'm not looked at it, so I'll leave it.
Land and property matters. So this is one that I think we may need to take a vote as to whether it goes into confidential session or not. We've already had the discussion about whether it goes into confidential session or not. Stuart, are you going to propose?
I'm not going to propose this goes into confidential session.
Okay, thanks very much.
Well, I've got grave reservations, because I'm going to be interested to see what goes on.
Okay, Ben.
Thank you, Chair.
Can I repeat the first line then?
I was going to anyway. Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to make clear right from the start that the agenda for tonight, this item on the agenda, was to consider arrangements for public consultation regarding the cemetery extension and any action required, not anything greater in depth. And I've had comments made to me that other things should be considered at this stage. Well, I'd just like to remind the council that, and especially for the benefit of those who weren't members from May 2017, the initial report that was prepared by the working group made recommendations of one or other of 2 sites within the parish. There were 6 sites considered, but 4 of them were obviously of too small a value in acreage to be of benefit, and those were Rackford Meadows and an extension to the current cemetery. Further to that initial report, there was an interim report in November last year, 17th of November, which stated the sort of rationale behind looking at those 2 sites. And if anybody's in doubt, I'd just like to read that short paragraph from the interim report that you got. When comparing the merits of the 2 sites, it is difficult not to consider that site A, which was Rackford Meadows, should be selected from a cost perspective, as the parish has title to the land. However, an extension to site B, the current cemetery, although attracting extensive land purchase costs, does have several advantages over site A, namely good public transport access, existing main services, and most importantly, it has familial connections in which residents of the parish are buried there, and people would prefer that. One of the decisions as well we made when the working group sought your authority to proceed with looking at site A as the preferred one was that eventually we thought that this quite rightly should go out to public consultation. We've now taken advice regarding compulsory purchase, etc., amongst other things, and to be successful in a compulsory purchase, we must show that we have involved the electorate fully in the decision-making process. And the working group certainly feels now that the time is ripe to go to that. So what I'm proposing is that, before I go to that, you've all had an information pack from me about press releases, the parish newsletter, your mag, and also Facebook to give notice of a public consultation meeting to be held on the 27th of April at the same time as the Duke of Leeds project, to obviously cut down on costs and times, etc. So what I'm seeking from Council tonight is your authority now to proceed to that public consultation. We don't need full statements of cost, etc., and where car parks are going to go and what main services and what trees are going to be planted, etc. We need a clear indication from the public of which site is the preferred one. We can then cause the expenditure in looking at environmental assessments, etc. And these do not come cheap. And to do them, as I initially said, both at the original meeting and the interim report, we can't, and neither should we, involve cost in carrying that out twice. So we need, if the public decide that the extension is the way to go, we will have to go down compulsory purchase route for that. That will be expensive. But we need to consult them on that. So I'm seeking your clear approval of, in a word, going public on it now.
Great. So that has multiple seconders. We've got Stuart and we've got who's just seconding as well. Stuart, can we make this discussion as brief as we can?
Brief. I mean, I've been open with Ben. Ben knows my views, so there's nothing to hide as such. I have serious reservations of the way. I think, yes, I agree totally, there should be a public consultation. I don't think that the moment is the right time. First of all, this council, let me just read what it says, a consultation regarding the cemetery extension makes no mention to this about any other site or location, with no costings, with no plans. You mentioned compulsory purchase tonight, with no process for that, with no land surveys, with absolutely nothing. This council cannot consult on the public when we've got nothing to consult on. I do have serious... I understand what you're doing, and I understand you're trying to move it forward. I just think the process we're going through is all backwards about frontwards.
Sorry, Stuart, we've been here and had this discussion.
There's no set plan at all of what we're doing.
Yes, go on.
Okay, very quickly. Yes, we do have indicative costs, but they're not for public discussion at the moment, obviously.
Well, how are you going to speak to the consult of the public if you're not going to give them any costs?
Clive Diane.
Thanks, Chair. I'll keep it brief. I think this is like a two-stage thing that you've got to do. You've got to make the public aware of what we're looking at, where we're looking at, etc., etc. But I don't believe this moment in time putting cost to anything is going to be helpful, because you may be way adrift, and it's no point giving people false hope when it may not actually come to pass. I think what you've got to do is people need to be aware in the village that this is what we're looking at, this is what we set money aside for in the budget to move forward with the cemetery. It's got to happen. It's a question of where it happens and how soon. I think Ben and the group have done sterling work in this, and I think we've still got a long way to go, like consulting with planners at RMBC, etc., etc. But you've got to put it in the public forum first, get their feelings on it, come back, and then you look at what you're going to go forward with, and then you go out again. Only a short consultation, but you firm up on what you've done. This is what didn't happen on Rackford Meadows. We went ahead on a airy-fairy idea, and we finished up buying something for £250,000 that we didn't really want. but that's by the by. But I think you need to get out to the public, make them aware it's happened. The people, obviously, as I said, a lot of people still bury. We've got to provide this facility for the people of Anston. Is to put forward where we think the best solution is and get their feelings back on that. You can't go out on costs at this stage because there are that many imponderables. It's impossible. We've been making promises that you probably couldn't fulfil at the end of the day. And I think the same with the Duke of Leeds way. We've got to look at that in a rational way. So that would be my proposal anyway, and I support what Ben said.
Great. Dale.
Mine just a quick one to say that Ben has put an awful lot of work into this. You don't think for 1 minute that he hasn't got facts and figures, because he has. And the reason they're not being submitted tonight is because it is not at the moment going out for public consultation. Once it's gone out for public consultation and the views of the public are known, then we will go in more depth.
Great, thank you. Just to add to that before Colin comes in, thanks Ben. You've done a lot of work on this one, as has the cemetery working group, and we've had this discussion. We've had this discussion before. We've looked at the sites. We've looked at potential costings. We've discussed the merits of compulsory purchase or not. Great, Colin.
Yes, I just want to say I'll propose that we accept Councillor Valentin's recommendations.
Great. I think we've heard. Oh, Bev. Yeah, great, thank you. I think we've heard the range of sort of arguments for and against. Can we go to the vote, please?
Can we have a recorded vote, please?
Of course you can.
Are we voting on the original one that I seconded, or the new?
It was the original proposal. The original proposal is that Ben is allowed to go out to consultation. Yeah. That was the only proposal on the table at the start. And it was seconded by about 4 people, so it should, unless anybody wants to amend it.
No, I'm happy with that. That's all I came here to.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it moved on.
Yeah. Great. All those in favour, with a recorded vote, please.
Well, there's one of me against, so don't have to vote.
Keep your hands on it.
Do it for the council.
I feel like getting all little lights.
And against.
Good show.
Against. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry? Not now. That's going to go into the public consultation.
Well, we have made a decision.
Okay. B, so this is further to, can I ask for no interruptions, please? So B, Rackford Meadow, so we've further to the dog fouling and the residents that came to the meeting and the to and fro between ourselves and RMBC about the status of Rackford Meadow. We've had a request from Rotherham to basically state that the intended purpose of Rackford Meadow is public use and amenity, and that any cropping of hay is incidental to basically keep the land accessible to the public. The clerk actually informed me today that it is really within the transfer deed that spirit is enshrined anyway.
In the loan application, they bought it, the stated purpose is public use.
Great, so in the loan application. Great. Miles, Diane, Stuart. Can we
just propose that we write back to them saying yes, the cropping of hay is incidental.
Great stuff, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that seconded?
Yeah.
Yep. Diane?
So you agree to what the advice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Diane, you wanted to speak?
No, mine was to do exactly what
Seconding. Stuart?
Right, I'll be quick again. What we're doing, we're being asked to agree that we will send a message to Rotherham via whichever media to say that Rackford Meadow is public use and amenity, and any cropping for hay is incidental and undertaken as necessary maintenance to keep land accessible to the public. So that question I'd like to ask is, if we pass this as a resolution and inform Rotherham of that, does that then mean that RMBC contractors who fine people for dog fouling will be allowed to go onto Rackford Meadow and fine people?
The council's already made that decision.
I'm asking the question, it's either yes or a no.
I think that's the intention of Rotherham's
yes
request.
Or no, they're either allowed to go on there and fine people, or they're not.
That's RMBC's decision to make. Do you want to come in?
Yeah, as I understand it, they already believe they have the legal powers to do that. But it would help them if we agreed what's on the agenda today. It would just sure their position.
Can I say I disagree?
Can I ask members of the public not to interrupt, please?
It's not RMBC, so RMBC does not have the legal power.
Kevin, I will ask you to leave. Please be quiet.
So basically, the answer to the question is, if we agree this, that means we're allowing RMBC the power to go onto that land to fine dog users if they found.
We've already given them that.
That's right, I'm just asking the question. The reason I'm saying this is because I know there's dog walkers in here, and I think we need to send out a proper answer so people know where they stand.
Can we actually go to the vote? We've discussed this dog fouling previously. Can we go to the vote on
Right.
this?
It's proposed, it's seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. 10. Councillor Ireland.
Chair, can I propose that this goes into confidential session? I believe this is a contractual issue, and contractual issues by President of this council are not discussed in open session.
Great. Does that have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay, that's seconded. We've already had the sort of. Do you want to give us a quick? If that's the.
Very good. It's just about going to confidential because all the figures are all public knowledge. We know that I want to decrease it to £1,000. That's in the minutes. We know through.
Excuse me, Chair. I'm going to stand on the point of order. I've just made a proposal to go into confidential session, and what you're now allowing, you're allowing a councillor to influence the debate by mentioning the very figures we're supposed to be talking about in confidential
He
session.
hasn't said
If we
anything,
go in
Stuart.
there-
Stuart, in order to decide whether something should be
We're going to have
kept
a debate around the subject
Stuart,
before we go to a vote.
Stuart, please. In order for members to decide whether this should go into confidential session or not, they need at least one person ready to speak for and one person to speak against.
Shall I rephrase this? We all know that there's a figure in the minutes which everyone can read to go over a copy. So if you all read number 10, and gives you a figure which we aren't allowed to mention, not include the public. We know that what they paid last year, because that's in the budget as well. So,
if people bother to read it.
Chair,
Okay.
Can I move that the vote be put?
Members.
All in the public arena. So really.
Okay, it's all in the public domain. Thank you.
Can I
Okay,
move that?
all those in favour of going to confidential session on this item?
I am about to make
One,
an
two, three,
amendment.
4, 5, 6. Okay, we've already gone to the vote. What do you want to amend?
Well, it's more of a question. I want to know why Council Ireland are not the organisers of the Steam Rally and asking this question.
That's not really relevant, Colin.
Councillor.
But are you involved with the Steam Rally?
Do you want me to comment on this?
Yes,
I'd
please.
like to shed a bit of light. It's on the agenda because Councillor Ireland asked for me to put it on the agenda as I put other items on the agenda that other councillors have asked. I may, in the light of tonight, be a lot more strict about what I put on the agenda unless council is formally instructed. So that there's no confusion. The request for this item to go on the agenda, as far as I'm aware, has not come from the Steam Valley people themselves. It's come from Council Ireland. What I can say is I've met the Steam Valley people before Christmas. They did seem comfortable with the same amount they've paid in previous years. They have actually paid their deposit. My own personal opinion is that there isn't any need for this to go into confidential session, but it's up to you.
Chair, we just voted to put it into confidential session.
We haven't taken a vote again, so can I have a show of hands in favour of going into confidential session? I think we have. Okay.
No, that's not. Sorry.
We're starting to go down chaos and pretty fast.
Get reported on.
Okay. All those in favour of going into confidential session? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, against? 1, 2, 3. Okay, into confidential session it goes. Right. External meetings. Indeed. External meetings, 11A.
The last meeting of the Parish and Town Council was held on the 22nd of January at McKinsey Query Centre. We discussed Gators to Refuge collection, which again is going to be rolled out in March, and everyone will be getting a new black black and pink bins, which I've been seeing one or two of them are really nice. The other item on the agenda was pollinator-friendly planting practice, which is a bit of a mouthful to say, and that's looking at working throughout the borough on amenity spaces to plant. We've learnt a lot from the, if anybody's ever driven down Dickersley where they planted on the central reservation, that absolutely went mad, backfired on them totally, so I think they've revised their ideas, I think we'll look at that, so that will, that's going to be rolled out later on. One of the other agenda items was the Parish Council Network meeting that people attended on the 4th of February. Unfortunately, I couldn't get because I was ill, but I understand that it was quite productive again. And the last item that I put on as an item of business was we discussed it at which meeting would it be? Was it Duke Leeds Way? Youth Provision?
No, that was the council.
Whichever was the council meeting. That went on the agenda. We had a discussion on that, and that's going to be a future one where Janice Brun is going to bring some more information back. A lot of the parish and town councils are concerned about the lack of youth provision in their areas, so they're going to have a look at that. And
she did mention they're supposed to be getting back to me on something,
yeah,
so that's
we
what
will
yeah.
hopefully progress that one. And one other item of business I think that came on late was about the way parish councils are actually the governance arrangements, because it's come to light, I think, that some parish councils have different agenda settings to others, and there seems to be some areas of no uniformity about how business is put on an agenda, and that's going to be looked at. I think that will be a subject for a Clouds meeting at some point in the future. But from what we can gather, there appears to be a bit disparity in how agendas are set out, things that are on that maybe shouldn't be on, things that aren't on that should be on. So we're trying to have a look at that and see how we can make parish and town councils function a bit better. So that's as far as we went on that one. The next one is Tuesday the 5th of March. And I say, once I get the agenda for that, if it contains youth provision, I'll bring that back. But hopefully we can try to improve on the lot that we've got at the moment, which is not a great deal out our way.
Great.
Just a very quick comment.
Very, very quick.
Just on this thing about agendas, what goes on an agenda within certain things is up for individual, independent parish councils. It's not for our MBCs to start dictating what goes on.
I think this was, Clive was saying, the agenda for the meeting that he goes to.
It's
not,
it's parish council. It's not for Rotherham to dictate. It's to get parish councils and town councils working uniformly across the borough. So we've got a common sense approach.
That's the independence of the parish councils. Yes, I mean they shouldn't put like any other business.
Any other business should be.
But that's maybe more of a Yelp issue.
But this is information that we're going to try and work with Yelp to see what we can get some sort of standardisation where things aren't being missed. So I'll bring it back anyway.
Thank you. Can we move on to the next item, Ben?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Saturday the 9th of this month I attended the Yorkshire Council's Yorkshire Local Councils Association branch meeting, which, for those that don't know, covers most of South Yorkshire. Most of it was purely administrative, but however there were two very important points which came up. Firstly was, I've alluded to it earlier tonight when talking to Councillor, I forgot her name, Alan, regarding the 20s Plenty campaign being promoted throughout the country by the charity 20s Plenty org. They have some good points that they put across, and I'm not a total advocate of their concepts, but however I did offer to them to be a point of contact, certainly within this parish, for any assistance that we might need to, or we might wish to seek from them. So really it's the point to make, if you want me to make further inquiries to them about what they can do for us in advising us on the reduction of speeds in certain areas within the parish, then if people want to get in touch with me, then I'll certainly do that. The second point was HS2. At the last branch meeting, Augustish last year, HS2, the site and the route, was quite emotive at the meeting. It doesn't affect us totally, obviously, but one of the decisions by the national local associations, authority was to not proceed with it in dealing with government, but to allow YLCA specifically as the main one in the area to be affected. So YCLA is keen to hear from parishes regarding their views, both on the location of the station, the HS2 station, which will serve this area, and also the specific route that is being proposed. If we have any views, then we should forward them to ICLA. There's been a lot of press about it, press speculation within the last week actually now, where it perhaps might not even go ahead. But I leave that in your hands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Unless anyone I don't think there's anything really to follow on that one. Thanks, Ben. And the final item there is, again, Councillor Allen alluded to it at the start of the meeting, so there's a planning seminar on Wednesday the 20th of February. Anyone particularly interested in going? I'm not sure we need to hear a huge amount about it, but...
well, I will be attending, but if Parish Council...
Okay, Diane's going, Clive's going.
One of the items is enforcement, and that is becoming a big issue, and I think it would be worthwhile councillors point of view. I will make sure that any presentation is circulated to
Brilliant.
clerks so everybody's aware of what's happening.
Stuart and Miles, do you want to go as well?
Just a quick one. We have I say problem, but I use it as a loose word, is that not many councillors around this table don't feel able or want to go on courses, and the only way you learn through experience is to go on courses. When we make planning decisions, we have to make them on planning issues, and if you don't know what them issues are, you're not making correct decisions. Can I ask, and I'm only asking, that's all I can do, is anybody who's never been on a planning seminar, go on this training. I'm trying to put this politely. As councillors, you need to attend training so you know what you're talking about with authority around the table. Okay. And again, it's the same people that tend to go on the courses. So my request is, please try and get on the course or the day seminar.
Miles, Ben, do you want to go?
Yeah, to follow on from that theme actually, at the YCLA meeting, one of the administrative issues that came up was that people were complaining, delegates were complaining that training sessions provided by YCLA were restricted to one period, and the quantity of information and subject material that had to be covered in that time, people were finding quite undertaking, and as such they've listened to that, and from May onwards most training sessions will be multi-parted. Great. So that might ease the situation.
See, I'm really keen to go on things like this.
Yeah, great.
I recently went on the other training day, which I used a holiday day, one of my precious holiday days, to go and do this. I'd be willing to go to things during the day. However, I do feel we need a process of either remuneration for those that are working, because I've either lost a day's wages or a holiday day to go on these things.
Yeah, I guess remuneration is not possible, but maybe one of the things that Clive or Co could add to the parish council working group is, can they do them in the evening?
So again, I'm keen, but
it is unfortunate, because I thought they might hold this one at evening, but it's obviously availability of staff and such like. We had one before, and that was in the morning at Rotherham. This is the afternoon. I will try and push it through the working group to see if we can get more of these in the evening, because it's better for most people. I'm fortunate I can go during the day, and Stuart and maybe Diane and other people, and I appreciate that you and others can't do that, but I will make sure the presentation is circulated and we get some feedback, but I'll try and they will be doing some more, so there's going to be follow-ups, because we can't cover every aspect of planning, so I will try and facilitate that if I can.
Okay, looks like we had sufficient debate. Are we happy to move on? Great. Item 12, I'll propose that we defer. Councillor Smith has left.
Can I come in? I don't think we should defer it. It's a shame that Councillor Smith's not here, I understand. Can I just say on this? I've read the paperwork that he kindly sent around. As a parish council, I'd just like to know this point, he's saying that what support the parish council can give to the school. To be honest, I don't think on a practical level there's any support we could give, although I'm open to ideas. But at the end of the day, if Dinnington High School is not performing, at the end of the day, it's down to the governors and the trustees to hold people to account. To be honest, we really, as a parish council, have very little, as we say, input or anything we could do.
If I can come
Governors
in,
and trustees.
I think we might want to wait to see what Councillor Smith's got to say on this one. So I know that Dinnington High School are often looking for governors. In fact, I nearly became a school governor, but then I decided to stand for election to a parish council. I think sometimes I probably wish that I'd done the school governing bit. They are having, they're always looking for governors, and they sometimes find it quite difficult to entice people into doing it because people don't know about it. So one of the things that we could do is, if we're ever running a public event, or if we do resurrect a newsletter, even giving them a section of the newsletter would be something that we can do to help them. Could we volunteer as school governors, that sort of stuff? I think that's what he was probably getting at, but maybe I think it's worth we defer this one to when he's here.
Just because, as a councillor, it can be a school governor. The school governors did used to be, members of the parish council did used to be school governors. I think they changed the rules. I'm not sure, but I think you still can be a governor and a parish council.
Of course you can.
There's no problem with that. But it is the responsibility of the governors and the trustees to hold them to account.
Diane? Does that have a second? Okay, all those in favour? Thank you. Councillor Graham?
We have put in the budget a certain amount of money for hanging baskets. Can I have a vote on the fact that we ordered these hanging baskets from our usual source, because there is no other, and that we give the permission.
Okay, does that have a seconder? Great, thank you. And Jonathan, were you seconding or wanted to speak? You were seconding. Does anybody want to?
Just to make this clear, are we voting for a single item contractor? Is that what you're saying?
There is no other. We've tried it before, Stuart. There is no other, because they will come out, Hobsons, they will service them, they will do whatever it is. They give us a good, well, you may not think so, but most people think it's a good value for money, and we have put this amount of money on one side. We do very little to enhance the village, and this does enhance the village, because the dogs can't get to it, the children can't get to it, and that is great. The sooner we actually put our order in, the better the actual basket.
Baskets are. So presumably that proposal is just to allow the clerks joint to progress it and pay for it.
Can I just give this is to the clerk, just a bit of guidance. Before we get the hanging baskets, can you and the ground staff, and this is, I've asked this year in, year out, go round and have a look at the lampposts where we traditionally put the lighting columns? Because last year, I think we had them down near the River Right, and one was stolen there, because they normally put two. One went because people stand on that fence, and I've asked again that they don't put them there so they can be stolen. And I think it might be worthwhile if you actually go around the village, have a look, because some areas will bushes cutting back trees, etc. Identify those. Well, Nursery Road had most of that cut back, so that's a lot better. But I think it would. Well, I think it's already granted. If you want to move any of the brackets to another column, you might think is better, then maybe you have to just get that permission. But
can I suggest that
again, that's no problem.
Chris is probably very new to this, because I think this is his first cycle of hanging baskets. Clive, Chris. Clive is our resident expert on hanging baskets. So can I propose that Councillor Jepson liaise with the clerk he gets things trimmed back. He gets.
Can I just come in just to try and help Diana? I'm not against the proposal. The proposal probably would be better to suggest that we suspend financial standing orders in order to have a one contractor bid and for the clerk to progress it further.
Do you need that wording, Chris?
Because if you don't suspend financial orders, you're going to have to go out to two contractors. Doesn't matter, you've still got to suspend financial standing orders. It's exactly what you're saying.
Are you happy to amend?
That allows
Still seconded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take the vote.
Yes, move to the vote. So amended as the wording suggested. All those in favour, thank you.
It just allows us to get out 5 minutes.
This is one, Chris has had a lady kind of get in contact with him, note about dog fouling on Lakeland Drive, Nursery Crescent, Quarry Lane and Woodsets Road. Chris, anything you wanted to add?
Just to say that I said, I suppose it wasn't on our land, but what I did do to her, let her know I'd done, was I reported it to Rotherham Street Pride, ask them to come out and do some enforcement action. I said, she asked for it to be on the agenda of the council meeting, so I said I would, and that's why it's here.
Maybe if we could ask.
Beth?
Just to add to that, we'll have conversations about Rackford Road as well.
Yeah, to Rackford Road.
Yeah.
Stuart and Miles?
I was just going to, just a quick read, really. All as councillors, we should really turn around. If any members of the public do ask, well, we should direct them to RMBC. It's RMBC's jobs to stop dogfowl on the highways. It's not the parish council.
It can be helpful if the parish council writes and highlights problems, though. Miles?
Just after what Sarah said, can we write to our, I know two of them around here, but one of them isn't, write to our borough councillors with these hotspots so they can recommend to Sarah where these places can go?
Narrow's quite clear.
Can I make a proposal that we write to Street Pride expressing our concerns about dogfowling on the areas named and Rackford Road?
All those...
The Street Pride is about reporting specific incidents and specific locations.
Right to RMBC.
Can I propose that we write to the relevant department at RMBC to express our concerns on dogfowling on the streets named?
Yep. Okay.
We've done some.
No,
Is that seconded?
no.
Of course you can with an amendment.
No.
Okay.
Street Pride works on the premise that you report something and they come out to it. There's nothing to report there because it's already
Done.
So unless somebody else wants to report an incident, that's the only way it would be done.
I think what
So
should
all I
be
would
done.
say is encourage the public to report these as many times as possible. And the best way is through email because telephone doesn't often.
Do you want me to withdraw my proposal?
Okay.
I'll withdraw the proposal.
Proposal withdrawn, so encourage members of the public to report those, and we can obviously contact our councillors if necessary.
If you tell them the exact location, they'll come out.
It's not stopping the problem.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Okay, 13, correspondence. This could potentially degenerate a little bit, so I'm just going to say, I'll buy the egg. I'll just buy the egg. Okay, there's 3 eggs hereby being purchased. Can we move on to the next item?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
On it. Right.
Yeah.
First comment.
We've got 3 eggs.
First comment is RMBC, the Mayor's charity Easter egg raffle. The Mayor, as far as I'm aware, does not have a charity. I've looked everywhere on the Charity Commission site, I've put in various spellings, etc. The Mayor of Rotherham does not have a formal charity with a charity number, therefore the Mayor's charity Easter egg, I believe, is a nonsense. It's not legal. But on top of that, the Mayor is a political appointment. And if she's collecting money for charity, he this year, then I stand corrected, if he is collecting money for charity under a political appointment...
Can I just correct them? The Mayor is meant to be
probably-
apolitical.
Pardon?
The Mayor is meant to be an apolitical
No, the Mayor's a
appointment.
political appointment. And anybody in the know knows the Mayor's a political appointment, and if it's collecting money for charity under a political issue, which I believe it is, I think that's wrong.
It's not collecting money, it's collecting Easter eggs.
Doesn't matter. The RMBC misleading the public that the Mayor has a charity.
Okay.
And it
The
doesn't
Mayor's
have
Charity
a
Committee.
So it's not actually a charity,
It's because the money raised from the
Right,
council-
can somebody please move next business?
the eggs go to charities.
I move next business.
Can we move on?
Seconded, all those in favour?
Did you declare
It's a majority, thank
Did
you. Sorry. Did you declare an interest in the eggs? Eating them or procuring
The
them?
RMBC Council was talking about RMBC Mayor's charities. They should be
We're done. We've moved on to B. Yorkshire Local Council Associations. I don't think we necessarily need to do anything about it, but just to note the Yorkshire Day celebrations in Whitby on the 1st of August.
Are they
Any
asking if people
action?
want to go?
We don't normally. No, we don't normally send anyone, but Are we happy to note?
Just been noted.
Yeah? Yeah? Yep. Okay, thank you very much. Well, that's just fine. Can I just do, because we've got discussion of any items which the press and public have been excluded, are you happy if we just take, well, the members of the press and public are here, any items that specifically need to go onto the next agenda before we go into confidential session?
That we search for prices for a newsletter in regards to the... Sorry, can I search for quotes for a newsletter or ways of advertising for the consultation meeting on the 27th of April?
I don't think these go on the agenda. I think consultation's already agreed, the newsletter's in the budget. So it could be progressed
Okay.
anyway.
So we don't need to go, so I can just say that I'd like to put a newsletter together with 9,000. We've got promotional, there is a promotional.
We stopped the newsletter due to lack of response.
I'm just trying to not clutter up the agenda with things which don't need to be on it. We've
Well, they might be
agreed to
on it.
produce a newsletter. I think I've got the power anyway to liaise with you and whoever else to get quotes for
Great.
producing.
Okay then.
Excellent.
It could be an item. What about saying something about council's continued use of internet blog sites to discuss council bids and talk about councils?
Yeah, well.
No, not grab anyone? No.
You want to have a discussion on councillors using internet sites, is that what you want?
I'd rather not chair any more of these
I'm quite happy.
of these things. Diane might in a couple of months, or whoever decides to stand for. Or Jonathan, or Stuart, or anyone else. Brilliant. Okay. Thank you. And right, let's resolve to exclude the press and public if possible.
Can I propose that we exclude the press and public from the nature of, because of the nature of the business to be conducted?
Second proposal, Drew.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you.